The cold, winter air blanketed the hills of Turkey. As the first light of dawn broke over the ridgeline, our team gathered quickly to lay out the day's battle plan, a mission to stop the wild boars that had ravaged this land under the cover of night. These beasts had been tearing through fields and striking fear into the hearts of villagers, robbing them of sleep and threatening their upcoming harvest. Today, we weren't just hunters, we were protectors. Every step we took along that frosty hillside, every sharp glance through the scope carried one purpose: to track, contain, and eliminate the threat before more damage could be done. With our boots firm in the earth and our spirits locked in, the hunt began. This was no ordinary chase. This was war, man versus beast. Dawn was breaking over the rocky hills of Hillside, Turkey. We tightened our gear, checked our weapons, and made sure our supplies were locked in, fully prepared for a long day of intense encounters across two completely different terrains. Mist still clung to the leaves as we moved forward, each firm step cutting through the silence like a warning. It was as if our presence stirred something from its winter slumber. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw John glance at me, then we both caught it. A shadow moving just ahead. Without hesitation, John steadied his rifle. Aim. Hold breath. Fire. Boom. The shot landed clean. The boar dropped instantly, crashing to the ground without a sound. That unexpected encounter felt like the land itself was greeting us, and it marked the beginning of what would be a promising hunt. We kept pressing forward along the hillside. By now, it was close to noon, the sun blazing down, the heat rising with every step. The wild boars were starting to show up in greater numbers. And then there they were. Across the slope, a whole group of them, lazily foraging without a care. My scope locked in on one target. Without hesitation, I gripped the rifle John handed me and pulled the trigger. Boom. A perfect shot. The boar dropped instantly, tumbling down the hillside like a sack of stone. The rest of the herd panicked, scattering wildly into the dense brush, disappearing into the cover of trees. And just like that, one shot, clean and precise, the moment was sealed. A flawless execution, backed by unwavering trust in my teammate. It wasn't just a hunt. It was a display of perfect coordination, timing, trust, and one bullet to tell the story. On the other side of the hill, James was having a rougher time. The wild boars there were cunning, using the terrain to their advantage, ducking behind thick brush and tree stumps like living shields. Every shot he took was blocked, wasted. The chase dragged on, tense and relentless. It wasn't until his third consecutive shot that the boar finally went down, crashing hard to the ground, an end to what felt like an endless pursuit. And just like that, the destruction was over. The threat was neutralized. With the boars gone, the crops could thrive again, and the villagers, after so many sleepless nights, could finally rest easy. After a short break to regain our strength, the team moved down toward the grassy fields at the base of the hill. This was the kind of terrain where visibility was clear, perfect for tracking, stalking, and exploiting the natural habits of the prey. Here, patience and positioning were the keys. The hunt had entered a new phase. A shift in ground, a shift in tactics, but the mission remained the same: control, precision, and dominance over the wild. Clever as they are, wild boars are still creatures of habit, and that familiar trail, they rely, on became their fatal weakness. Suddenly, one burst out from the tree line, charging headfirst toward the open field. 3 rapid shots rang out. Gun smoke mixed with the barking of the hounds, and then the beast staggered and fell. A heart-pounding chase, sealed by a perfectly executed takedown. If you enjoyed that clean finish, don't forget to drop us a like. We pushed farther down into the wide open field below, and luck was on our side. A large, heavy boar was making a desperate run across the grassland, trying to escape. My instincts kicked in. Heart pounding, eyes locked in. I tracked its every move and squeezed the trigger, delivering a burst of hot lead straight toward our prize. 3 shots rang out. The boar dropped with a thud, bringing an end to a thrilling chase that tested every nerve. That moment right there, it wasn't just about firepower. It was the result of honed instincts, sharp reflexes, and years of disciplined training. When it comes to seasoned hunters like us, no target gets away. The team moved out to the open field, preparing to head back. In the quiet calm at the base of the hill, the hunting dogs suddenly erupted into a focused chase. From years of experience, I knew something was about to happen. Quickly, I raised my rifle and went straight ahead. Right at the forest's edge, the boar dashed out trying to make its escape. It was about to run straight into a well-placed ambush, and unlucky, I was that shooter. The second shot rang out, and the boar went down completely. A long, intense day finally came to an end, sealed with a full victory for our hunting team. Today's success was the result of seamless teamwork, patience, and relentless determination. It wasn't just about hunting skills. This experience taught us a valuable lesson. In every mission, patience, keen observation, and effective coordination are the keys to protecting what matters most and achieving complete success. If you love thrilling hunts and want to join us on future adventures, don't forget to hit that like button and share. Florida is not a place that comes to mind when people think of hunting. People often think of Texas or Alabama, but for me, Florida with its vast swamps, dense palm trees, and wild vegetation is a paradise for hunters who love the harshness and drama. Especially when sitting in a buggy, you will feel like all the hunting trips are within your reach. As you can see, this buggy has no doors, is simply designed with a sturdy steel frame, large spiked wheels, and a gun mount mounted in front of the handlebars. The surrounding space was quiet, only the buzzing of insects and the steady sound of the engine underfoot. Suddenly, the sound of dogs barking rang out. A few dozen meters away from us was a large wild boar surrounded by a pack of dogs. The buggy stopped. I aimed carefully, determined the position, and fired. A loud explosion tore through the quiet air. The wild boar paused for a second and then crashed down. Although medium-sized, this wild boar was our first trophy. We continued deeper into the swamp. The place was overgrown with wild palms and low bushes. The buggy couldn't go very fast. I switched to slow mode and followed every movement of the hounds. Suddenly, several wild boars, all of them huge, rushed out from the bushes. Without thinking, we opened fire simultaneously. Perhaps frightened by the sound of the engine, they ran very fast, gradually splitting up, each running in a different direction. I continued south, where the terrain was flat and close to the grazing land, where wild boars often congregated because there was plenty of food. The car moved slowly, and at this time, we felt the cool summer breeze dispelling the heat. He spotted a herd of wild boars drinking at a small water hole on the edge of the forest. Without alerting the herd, we got out of the car and moved to a clearing about 50 meters from the water hole. Everything was quiet and peaceful. We aimed at the herd of pigs, targeting the largest ones. After an explosion, the largest wild boar fell down and the rest scattered. After harvesting the wild boars that were shot, we continued moving on the buggy. It was already afternoon. Our dogs also discovered the wild boar and tried to chase it. This time, one of our friends did not use a gun to take down the wild boar. He came up with the bold idea of catching the wild boar with his hands. Yes, you may find this sight hard to come by, but in some Florida swamps, it is not an uncommon sight. After an exciting session of catching wild boars with our bare hands, we continued to move on the buggy and search for wild boars. Wild hog hunting in Florida is not for the faint of heart. The sun, the bugs, the dirt, and the risk of a pig attack. But every trip is a challenge, a game between human bravery and the wild wisdom of nature. I drove back, my face and hands sunburned, my shirt covered in dust and sweat. The scratches from the bushes, the stinging mosquito bites, it was all worth it. I put down the gun, cleaned the barrel, and sat in the middle of the field in the hot sun, but at peace. Our hunting experience in the swamp has come to an end. How do you feel about today's video? Leave your comments below to let us know. Don't forget to like and subscribe to receive the latest notifications. gunfire and barking dogs echoed through the forest, signaling that the hunt was in full swing. Our hunt took place in a forest in southwestern Germany with dense vegetation that is ideal for wild boar to live. The hunting trips are not for recreational purposes. We just want to destroy and control the wild boar population because they are developing into a scary invasive species. In Germany, being a hunter is not just about taking a gun into the woods and shooting. We have to undergo at least a year of training, learning about the law, ecology, animal ethics, and even animal anatomy. Only after passing the exam and getting a hunting license can I officially enter the world of German hunters. Every time we go into the forest, we have to be alert. One wrong step, one strange noise, and the pigs can run away, or worse, they can counterattack. Early in the morning, we were in the forest, lying in ambush at the high huts that had been built for better observation. It didn't take long before we heard the sound of hurried footsteps, and then the shaggy black figures appeared. My comrades and I quickly loaded our guns. A series of gunshots tore through the quiet atmosphere. Some of the big pigs fell, others ran away in all directions. After the shot, my heart was still pounding. Even though the morning was still chilly, I felt my body heating up. Perhaps it was due to the excitement mixed with nervousness. European wild boars are not like in picture books or fairy tales. They are not slow or stupid. On the contrary, they are intelligent, highly organized, and extremely dangerous when cornered. That is why we always keep a safe distance to hunt them. Through the tree trunks and dry leaves, I saw a wild boar appear. It was looking around warily. I slowly raised the gun, keeping my breathing steady. Even the slightest noise would ruin the whole ambush. I held my breath and pulled the trigger. The wild boar couldn't escape. Another wild boar appeared, but it seemed to have sensed the danger and ran away. Not giving it a chance to escape, I killed it with a fatal shot to its chest. There are many wild boars living in this forest. They have strong reproductive ability and high survival rate. Therefore, each hunting trip, we can kill dozens to hundreds of wild boars. Well, another wild boar appeared on the mountainside. I raised my gun. The moment I pulled the trigger, all sound seemed to stop. The boar was hit, staggered, and collapsed. Because it was a steep slope, it rolled several times and fell down the mountainside. That it seems that on this hunting trip, we entered the lair of wild boars. They kept appearing and were also continuously destroyed. Every time I kill a wild boar, I don't feel happy. But for the sake of protecting the environment and ecosystem, we need to do it for a long time. As the afternoon wore on, we gathered in a grassy area and counted the boars. The boars lay there, huge, fierce, and powerful. We don't waste wild boar meat. After processing, the wild boar meat is marinated and dried in the traditional way. The taste is rich, wild, and full of the flavor of the forest. But for me, the greatest reward is the lesson of survival and teamwork. Our journey is over. Leave a comment below to let us know. Don't forget to like and subscribe to receive the latest notifications. I am a farmer in South Texas where corn and soybean fields stretch out endlessly. But behind the peaceful facade lies a war that few people see. The war with feral pigs. Feral pigs have long been a vicious invasive species, destroying crops, digging up soil, and confronting hunters when cornered. In recent years, I have learned to become a hunter, not out of passion, but for a living. The war is often fought with traps and guns. The trap I chose was a corral trap, a circular trap with a trapdoor made from wire mesh panels about 1.5 meters high. Inside, we baited it with corn mixed with fat and wine, which wild boars particularly love. They can't resist the smell. To effectively trap wild boars, we need to set the traps several days in advance so that the wild boars are not alert. To effectively trap wild boars, you need to install surveillance cameras to capture the wild boar's activity time. After many times approaching the corn bait without encountering danger, more wild boars will appear. Through the camera, we know the time and number of wild boars entering the trap. We can remotely control the trap to trigger and capture the prey. Early in the morning, we moved to the trap location to harvest wild boars. Although we knew in advance that there were many wild boars in the trap, we still felt nervous when facing them. As we approached the trap, the wild boars panicked and rushed at the bars, growling and trying to break through the cage. We did not shoot them immediately, but looked around, making sure that the wild boars did not fall into the trap. When we saw no danger around, we aimed and killed each wild boar. Each accurate shot took down the wild boar immediately, ending it quickly. That was the moral rule we set, which was not to let them suffer for long. To get a quick and clean shot, we needed to aim precisely at the head and chest. After killing these wild boars, we loaded them onto the truck. The wild boars were so heavy that my whole body almost swayed. These wild boars would be processed to make full use of them. Nothing would be wasted. After bringing the wild boars back from the traps, we returned to the guardhouse on the south side, where the barley fields and the wild woods met. This was where the pigs often came out at midday to find water. I hid on the high watchtower, my gun ready, my eyes fixed on the binoculars. Around 11 a.m., a herd of wild boars appeared. I took a breath, adjusted my scope. At a distance of 50 meters, I aimed at the leader and pulled the trigger. The explosion rang out in the silence, causing the remaining herds to scatter. The one that was shot staggered, but still ran away. I slid down to the hut, followed the tracks, and found the wild boar, collapsed about 100 meters from the hut. While waiting, we moved closer to the farm area, where the terrain was flat and wild boars often appeared in large herds. In the blazing sun, I could clearly smell the scent of soil, grass, and wild boar mixed together. I held the gun firmly in my hand. As soon as the wild boar appeared, I pulled the trigger. Thanks to the accurate shot and good vision, we continued to kill a few more wild boars. Although we hunted a lot of wild boar, we were not very excited, because this was not a recreation hunt. The goal was to prevent wild boar infestation and limit their population. All wild boars hunted will be transported by us to the staging area. After inventory, they will be sent to local slaughterhouses. Hunting wild boars in the U.S. is not only a farmer's act of self-defense against crop damage, but also an art of balancing survival and humanity. Traps help me take the initiative, guns help me finish quickly, but the most important thing is still the heart, cold enough to pull the trigger, warm enough to remember that every fallen animal is the flesh and blood of this land. Our journey of hunting wild boars with traps and guns has ended. How do you feel about today's video? Leave your comments below to let us know. Don't forget to like and subscribe to receive the latest notifications.